The monopod is one of the most underrated video creating tools out there. Tripods and gimbals get talked about a lot, but the humble monopod gets very little attention in comparison. Today I'm going to show you 7 creative shots that you can accomplish using a monopod and the GoPro Hero 12. And these creative shots cannot be achieved simply using the GoPro in your hand. When you use a camera handheld, it's difficult to get that nice smooth motion that you can get when you're using a monopod. And that's because the monopod can rest on the ground, and you can move this smoothly and evenly in several different directions. And that's where the magic happens. And by the way, the monopod I'm using today is the Manbily Professional Monopod. And I happen to love this monopod because it's affordable, rugged, and it also functions as a hiking pole, which is perfect for me because I like to hike. So even though the creative shots I'm showing you today are with the GoPro Hero 12, you can do these shots with pretty much any action camera or any camera. The payload on this monopod supports up to a whopping 33 pounds. So let's get into these creative shots. I'm going to demonstrate each of these today and show you how easy it is to get some great footage using these techniques. So shot number 1 is the extension/drone shot. So for this shot, you need to mount your camera on top of the monopod, which I've already done here. Which, by the way, this has a threaded screw on top. So if you have the GoPro Hero 12, or any camera with the threads on the bottom, which most DSLRs and mirrorless cameras do have that. It's really easy just to screw it on here to get it mounted. And then what you want to do at that point is you want to extend the monopod fully. So in this case, I just had to do one further extension here. Then you just want to make sure all of these are tightened so it's not going to move on you. Next thing you want to do is you want to turn your GoPro on. What you'll do next is you'll want to have your subject in front of you, and you will be behind your subject or you'll be in front of them. Now this is going to depend if you want your subject walking toward the camera or if you want to be behind your subject lifting it up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get back here and I'm going to hold the camera down here on the ground. And when your subject walks forward, you're going to lift up the camera and match the pace. This is a great way to introduce a subject into a scene. And it's a really cool vantage point you can't otherwise get with the GoPro handheld. And I'm going to demonstrate doing the same shot from the front as well. So what you'll do is you'll get your camera down on the ground in front of your subject, and then your subject is going to walk toward you, and you're going to slowly and evenly lift it until you get it up here in the air. So shot number 2 is going to be the pivot around shot. This shot is really easy. You want to make sure this is extended to a comfortable height. I usually push in the bottom of this, the bottom section, and then I have it extended to right about here, about shoulder height. And what you're going to do is you're going to stand here with the camera, and you're going to have your subject walk by the camera. So as your subject walks by, you're going to try to keep your subject in the rear frame of the camera, the rear third, and you're just going to simply pivot this. And the monopod makes it really easy to pivot because you've got it on the ground here, and all you have to do is take one hand and go like this. And if you want to use 2 hands for extra stability, you can hold them about a foot apart and do the same thing. But I find it works a little bit better with one hand. It's a little easier to get it smooth. Shot number 3 is the inverted shot. For the inverted shot, you want to tuck away some of these extensions and you want to have it usually about 4 feet. What I recommend is holding onto this with one hand, then your other hand up here. You're going to glide along the ground with your camera just like this with your subject in front of you. And you want to try to keep one foot in front of the other. And the inverted shot is a great way to capture the feet of your subject. You can do this behind your subject. You can also do alongside your subject with your subject walking forward and you matching pace with your subject. So there are a lot of possibilities with the inverted shot. Shot number 4 is the pan-up shot. And the pan-up shot is a little bit different from the extended drone shot in that you don't have your pole fully extended. What you typically do is you're going to start at ground level and you're going to pan up as your subject enters the frame. And usually you'll have your subject entering from one side while you pan up. So it's basically a diagonal when you're doing this shot. This type of shot makes a great transition from one scene to the other. Shot number 5 is the leaning shot. And for this shot, you do want to extend it probably all the way, depending on your height. You want to have your camera up near eye level. So I'm going to extend this fully again. And what you're going to do for this shot is you're going to lean with the monopod. So you can use both hands, you can use one hand. Usually it's going to depend on how heavy your camera is. In this case, the GoPro weighs less than 200 grams, so one hand is simple enough. And what I like to do for this shot is I like to put this to 5.3K 30, and I like to use the horizon lock. And what that's going to do is that's going to keep a a 360-degree horizon leveling in the scene. So this is really great for that pivoting. I'll demonstrate how to do this. So I'm going to start it off down here, and I'm going to raise it up. Then I'm going to lower it again on this side. There are many possibilities of how to do this. It doesn't just have to be with a moving subject. You could also do this with a stationary subject like a tree. It can look pretty cool with that as well. Now, shot number 6 is the stationary shot. And this is pretty self-explanatory. Now, what you want to do for this shot is you want to have this at whatever level you want to be filming the subject entering or exiting your scene. So in this case, I want this pretty low to the ground. So I'm going to give it about this much right here, about 3 feet. And the nice thing about this is it has this metal spike on the end. This comes included with the monopod. And do be careful of that if you're swinging this around toward yourself or resting on your leg. So what you can do for this shot is you can take this and you can put it into the ground just like that. Or you, of course, can lean it against a tree. Either way works. And then you, of course, start recording. And then this is great for solo recording. So right here, if I was out on an adventure solo recording, I can record myself, or you can record another subject entering the scene if you want to. This works multiple ways. If you don't want your camera moving, you want to make sure there's no shake. It's great for that as well. And finally, creative shot number 7 is the follow shot. So what you want to do for this one is you want to collapse your monopod as far as it'll go. And you basically want to have it right here. It's basically a steady cam. So what I recommend is putting your hand through the wrist strap, and then you hold one hand here and one hand near the bottom, and you record and you follow your subject. And of course, if you'd like to have extra stability, walking heel to toe is going to be your friend. So before we wrap up, I'd also like to mention that Manbily does sell a video head and a ball head for this monopod. And if you want the ability to change the camera on several axes at the same time, that video head and ball head will make that possible. They'll make it nice and easy to capture some really cool shots. Speaking of GoPro, if you'd like to learn more about how to get the very best out of your GoPro, check out this playlist right here.